The team kind of bum bum. Here was the arms.
Yo, what's going on? Blaxican in Taiwan, aka NBC The Game, Gabriel Carbo, back at it again. Beautiful Tuesday here in District 13, the real District 13, Shaolin, Taiwan, and it's a special day, evening, right? We got a legend in the building. We're gonna talk top shop, astrology, life, and what it means here and now. Today's episode is TechnoAlchemy, Pluto's, I call it invitation into the age of Aquarius, featuring Asana Alexander here in the building. What's up, the Shadow Buddha, the twin? What's up, my guy? Uh, Look within, the hardest working man in the metaverse. Good to see you. All the ninja watchers and whatnot. So Pluto recently, as in November, went into Aquarius, which was, hasn't happened in 200 years. And this is the Babylonian Western astrology, not Vedic astrology, which we'll get into now that we're honored to have Miss Alexander, who's versed in Vedic astrology as well as other modalities um, of reading the science of astrology. So, but this is big. Last time it was Aquarius was Pluto was in Aquarius was 1777. What happened back then, my patriots? Some big. So some bigs on the horizon. So, without further ado, let's bring our honored guest up. How's it going, Miss Alexander? How
Hey,
you been?
good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. This is exciting. This is exciting. I mean, just to jump off the fact that, dude, it was so refreshing to talk to someone that knows their shit. So with
That's
that
sweet.
said, yeah, no, it was great. I always want to be in the room with people who are smarter than me, and for the most part, on a majority of things, and then I can add some stuff as well. But yeah. So what do you think this whole Pluto and Aquarius chamber means to you here in
To,
2025?
to me, I think it's kind of exciting because it's going to take a while. Like I'd mentioned before, it's probably till like 2050 before the effects fully roll out, and so before we're fully in that age of Aquarius. So for now, we're seeing like a lot of different changes, but also changes in cognition.
Hmm.
People are talking about things that they did not ever dream of talking about for like 2000 years.
Right.
And they're just like even um the other day I think Flo and Sarah were talking about shame. And that's a big
Hmm.
one that I feel like in the age of Aquarius, people are really going to have to start tackling how shame has held people down for a long time, either through religious institutions or other things. But Aquarius is a very liberating sign. It comes to bring humanity together. And
Hmm.
so part of what holds us down and enslaves us is that decrepit emotion of shame, and it says you're a bad person versus you did a bad thing, and so I'm looking forward to that and looking at kids like the Gen Z with a lot more hope and optimism than maybe some of my peers think, but I like what I see in some of these younger kids that are being born in this age.
Absolutely. And also too, let's not forget the fact OGs out there that they learn a lot of this from us too, the good and the bad. And
Absolutely.
it ain't
Yeah.
like, they came up on their own. It's like that.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial? Parents to use drugs have children to use drugs. I learned it from watching you. I remember that commercial back in the day.
Yes, I totally remember it.
You know what I mean? That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
it.
think I stole a few from my parents in the day.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about you talked about that earlier. You were introduced to astrology at an early age. That's
Yes,
something
yes.
that's different from me.
I was introduced from the time I could walk. My dad used to pick on
Wow.
me and call me a Taurus, saying I was stubborn and stuff like that. But and part of that's true. But yeah, and they
That's
were
a good
all
shaming.
about Like, I suppose. But yeah, they were all about Age of Aquarius, because that was
Hmm.
like a big song in the 60s and stuff, and they were kind
Right.
of flower kids and stuff, so they were all about that. And so from there, I just kind of got into Linda Goodman's sun signs and
Mhm.
read her books when I was probably even under 10, because my
Wow.
parents had it around, and they had some
Hmm.
really cool astrology books back then with great art in it and stuff
Hmm.
that chronicled over history. And I like that you're calling it the science of it, because the science is nothing
Yeah.
more than like the study of it,
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
matter.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I mean, it's
Hmm.
even to simplify it even more. No disrespect to the science, quote unquote, trained scientists out there, but yeah, it's the signs of life. I see it as we're reading the signs of life, the science, man. And when using
Yeah.
mathematics, measuring it, the signs of life, critical thinking, and
Yeah. And if you know astrology, I have Mars in Capricorn where it's exalted. And so when you look at Mars, you see like
whoo,
in charts of people who are usually really good engineers and think strategically and like very, very big on precision. There's
mhm,
strong Mars in their chart, and so for me, that's been applied over with astrology. I haven't really gotten into tarots or crystals like we were talking about with Timothy Leary and stuff. He was actually
mhm.
selling crystals in Tampa, but I haven't really gotten into that so much as I like the mathematics of astrology and applying the principles of energy patterns and how you read those energy patterns and how they've been chronicled for thousands of years,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, because you can go like deeper and deeper in it. It's like there are great like multidisciplinary things in the quote unquote the alternative sciences. I'll say it, but the astrology you can just keep going deeper. It's similar to like where I met my wife was in a Bikram yoga class, and if anybody
Cool.
knows Bikram yoga, yeah, it's super cool because for me, it was one of the hardest things I ever done. And then just accomplishing the class, I felt
Hmm.
like, I felt like I was the shit in the sense I can get through anything outside the door. So what I'm saying is, it's very hard to do even for me now after doing it for so many years. However, that's only the beginner class. They call it the beginner class, like that
Ooh.
class that everyone does those 24 28 postures or whatever. And so with that said, and the reason why novices and beginners and experts can get something out of that is because you just go deeper and finer and finer and finer. And I see that with astrology, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of drawn to like their own particular type of astrology and what they're looking for through it. And
Hmm.
so I'm not necessarily an astrologer who reads charts like one of my friends who taught me.
Hmm.
She was teaching in a formalized setting with the classes, but and I'm good enough to actually do it, but I just never felt called towards doing that for a living per se. But yeah, there are times when I feel called to look at someone's chart and I'm like, why is my intuition going off about this person? Then I look at their chart and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. But there's
Hmm.
there's lots of different there's things like astrocartography, which I found very
Interesting.
fascinating, where you could take someone's birth chart, put it over a map of the Earth, and you could tell, like, say, like a Pluto line, like for me, my Pluto line runs over California. So it's not
Hmm.
necessarily a great energy for me because, Pluto can be, but I mean, my Pluto in my birth chart's in a grand trine. So Pluto's not a bad planet for me. It's just not a
Hmm.
fun energy for anyone. But I knew this one lady, she had Mars in Pisces, which do you know what Pisces rules as far as the body part?
Uh,
The feet.
the feet. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, the
right. The
feet.
souls. The
It,
souls. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it rules the feet. And so she had Mars in Pisces, and like Mars was like over her Mars line ran across, I think, the UK. So
Hmm.
she maybe had it in the 12th house too, but she was kind of forewarned not to go on this trip, and she went on it anyway, and she ended up having a hunting accident and shot herself in the foot.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it was right there in her
Oh
chart,
my God.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
so wild, and she went over
Yeah.
that, so you
Because
know.
Mars is like can be when I think of Mars, I think of Aries and accidents sometimes, right?
Yeah, Mars
Like
rules
accidents.
machinery. Yeah, guns. Well, I shouldn't say
Hmm.
that word on YouTube. Sorry about that. Pew
That's
pews.
fine. That's not you're good.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
water guns, huh?
yeah, water guns exactly. And it rules that, I guess, with Mars and Pisces, definitely water guns. But yeah, it,
Yeah.
it rules that, and so it was funny. And then there's a whole bunch of different. There's also what do you call it? Composite charts. Have you heard of those?
Sounds familiar.
It's
Yeah,
when you
shout out to Leopard
take
Print in the chat. Much love. Right?
Hey leopard print. Um and Buddha too. Hi.
Yeah, Buddha. Shout out
Um
to Buddha. Yes, sir.
and look within.
Look within. Yeah.
But composite charts
Composite
are
chart.
when
Yeah.
you take two people's charts and you combine them and you find basically the midpoints, and that creates its own unique energy.
Mm,
People may be fine as individuals, but then together you put
yeah.
them together, and the energy that they create together is not a good energy, or it could be
Yeah.
like a really great energy, and everyone else is like, "What do you see in that person? What do you see in that person?" And then together they create an energy that's better than the two parts would have been, and then sometimes you see other energy in composite charts where it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
maybe you're not a bad person by yourself, but with this other person, it brings out the worst. So I
Right.
like
A
looking at those
toxic
too.
relationship kind of.
Yeah,
I don't like to
yeah,
use that word loosely, but yeah, that sounds like that could be that. Or a power couple or a partnership.
right,
Power partner.
exactly. You
Yeah.
could see that in their
Yeah.
charts. It's fascinating.
Yeah. What
Mm.
about this? Like I've noticed like on my chart and my wife's chart, there's a lot of like where I'm lacking planets in that house, she has planets, and where she's lacking planets, I have planets, and sometimes I've seen like polar opposite signs and stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's because
Yeah.
you're attracted
It's
to
like
someone who's making up for what you lack, and that's a good
mm,
thing to me.
yeah, yeah,
It's a balance. It's
yeah.
what I think ideally marriage should be about, is finding someone who's not exactly like you, but enough in harmony with you to
Right.
live for the rest of your life.
It's it's the unification of opposites coming together, which
Mm,
I see a lot of this happening in this age we're living in. You know, like you said, like
yeah.
things we would never think are coming together, whether willingly or unwillingly. They're still coming. They're still coming together. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So all those modes you talked about, the composite charts and then laying the chart over the geography. That's
Hmm.
that's amazing, man. Those are tools. These are like high powered tools if you really look at it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's different places where you could move and your energy just feels different. And
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I moved to a place where I think it was my sun and my Jupiter line were kind of near there. And that just really was, wow, I found a different part of myself that I never would have
Hmm.
found with where I was raised. So
Yeah.
that was just amazing.
Yeah.
So
I'm so
those are,
curious about like sorry, I'm saying I'm
mhm.
so curious about like where mine lies on Taiwan because I would have never consciously thought of I'd be where I am right now. And it's literally on
Yeah,
the other side of the
yeah.
world, you know?
I imagine, oh, well, is it, you can look it up online, but there's
Mm,
one website that has it for free where you could put in your chart.
mm,
And you can then, it's under a specialized chart where you can then do the astrocartography. I'll try to find that and send you the link to
mhm.
that one so you can put
Okay.
your own chart in, and then it's under special charts,
Yeah.
and you could find out how it is. I'm sure it's really good, obviously, if you're
Yeah.
living there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the first time I ever lived out the country. I never even lived in another state other than California. Then I ended up
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
So you're from California?
Yeah, I'm from California, Northern
Ye
California.
Yeah, and I just
Yeah.
said in my astrocartography, my
Yeah.
Pluto line runs over California, and now we're talking about Pluto. That's wild.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's wild. But
Yeah.
actually, I have really good, I got Venus lines over like the Philippines and Thailand and Vietnam, that area.
Mm.
So I've had a lot of friends from Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, the
Yeah.
Philippines. Yeah,
We're
a
almost
lot of
right
that.
there. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
like Taiwan's in between there. They call it the heart of Asia because it's in the
Yeah.
middle of Southeast Asia right there. Yeah. And Venus, we could say it's like how you want to be loved and how you love others, among other things, you know?
Yeah.
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 Okay. And
Definitely.
I think of creativity and all that. So Pluto is that's the small planet, but it's very powerful, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the ruler of the underworld. So,
Hmm.
Pluto, Hades, and Greek. So yeah, it rules all things that need regeneration. Like, what was it? Persephone got pulled under to the underworld for like six
Hmm.
months out of the year, and then it's kind of the Phoenix Rising, which I guess Scorpio is ruled by Pluto as well, which is
Right.
your sun sign, I think
Yeah,
you said.
it's my very good. It's my sun, sun, moon, Venus, Uranus. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
So there's
those.
probably like a lot of regeneration and stuff themes in your
Hmm.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Hmm.
deaths and rebirths.
Now
You want to be a
is your
dramatica. Yeah.
do you know what degree it is?
Um, you mean in the Scorpios? What it
Yeah,
is?
yeah. Is it
Yeah, I.
2010?
It's let me see. Okay. Yeah, I have my chart open right now. Chart, but let me put it on birth. Astro Matrix. I like that one on my phone. Let me see. Oh, so Scorpio Sun, 18 degrees,
18 degrees. Okay, so it'll
1830, and
be
then
it'll be
14
a
for
long
Moon.
time before Pluto squares your sun. Oh wait, what was your moon?
14.
14. Oh, they're very close. You're a full
Yeah.
moon baby.
Oh, really?
No, you're a new moon baby.
New Moon.
New
Yeah, that's
moon
it. New
baby.
Moon.
New moon
Right.
baby.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
What can
that
we say
one.
about that if you're born on a new moon?
Okay, your parents when you
Something.
were born, when I would look at a chart and I would see a new moon baby, I would say
Mm,
your parents were very much on the same page when you were born. They were like
mm.
in really good harmony. It doesn't mean anything about whether they're gonna stay married or anything like
Oh, they
that.
weren't. I think it was like lust and like a great. I mean, for what it's worth, their relationship. Because my mother was very young when she had me, and my
Hmm.
father was I think he had another family.
Oh wow.
So like
Scorpio, Scorpio.
traditionally, yeah, exactly. You'd be like, nah, that's nah, but it's passion. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but they were
yeah,
very similar, and you probably see them as very similar energy as well, I would
yeah.
imagine.
I never met my father,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was very connected to my mom, and even though I never met my father, I just feel like whether he would accept me or not, I really appreciate him. And I think it's
Right.
whatever he is amazing. I would love to. There's a love there. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a strong love there for it. Yeah,
And to
yeah,
a certain extent, that would make sense for a new moon baby where the mother is the father too.
right. And she was a Cancer too, sun sign.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really good sign with Scorpio. And
Oh yeah,
my estimation, they get along
yeah.
really well.
Really
Um,
well. Yeah,
yeah, the other one that gets along really well with Scorpio is a lot of times Pisces.
right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But when it's bad sometimes with the Pisces. But I have to say though, like with my mom with the Cancer, I adored her and she was great and all, and she digged me up. However, dude, I was like pretty afraid of her. Was she Cali? Would she get that Cali energy? The goddess Cali energy. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But that new
Cancer rules motherhood, so yeah, you should be respectful and afraid of your mom to a
yeah,
certain extent, but overall, I'm sure it's very nurturing.
yeah,
But yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah.
And
What do
what
you
is
have? What do
your
you Go ahead.
what is mine? My
No,
rising is Leo. Yours is Taurus, I think you said, right?
correct. Yeah, which are polar opposites of the sun and sun and rising for me. Yeah.
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 Does that put your sun and your moon and your 7th house or your 6th house?
Good. It's the sun and the moon. How do I tell that? Let me see.
Like
Oh,
what
seventh
degree
house.
Taurus?
Seventh house.
7th
I have
house.
like,
Okay.
yeah, seventh house. That's it.
So that's a lot of Libra
And
type
Mercury too.
energy.
Yeah, I have
Oh, wow.
Mercury, Moon, and Sun in the seventh house. My friend called me a seventh house master. I'm here to master
Yeah,
it or whatever.
definitely. It's all about partnerships, dealing with the market,
Yeah,
dealing with
absolutely. The other.
partners. Yeah, other people.
Yeah,
You're here to learn about
yeah,
them and partner with
yeah,
them. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then, which is interesting because my generational planet is Pluto and Libra.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I really like that one because it's changed a lot of the ways that we look at marriage.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It has. I even saw some interesting stat yesterday. It says something like 52% of younger folks believe believe in open marriage or something like that. Support open marriage. I'm not saying I support that, but I had noticed that on the stat. You still there? Let me see. You kind of don't hear anything. Let's see. Oh, there you are. There you are. There
Sorry
you are.
about that.
We got double. We got.
Double?
Let me.
Huh, sorry.
Let me.
No, I don't know what happened with my internet here for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So the Pluto, that because the Pluto, like you said earlier, those big planets represent the generational and like collective, right?
right,
Those outer
right.
planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that
Yeah.
to be the case too. Like you'll see a lot of people with Pluto and Libra have kind of redefined what marriage looks like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a Pluto and Libra thing. And then the next is Pluto and Scorpio. Wow, those millennials had a lot of transformation to go through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Those are pretty. Plus, seems like very intense relationships. Pluto and
yeah.
Libra, huh? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
very much so. And it's very
Yeah.
important to them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Partnerships, relationships. Yeah, I have a cousin who's been married 3 times with a Pluto and Libra right on her ascendant. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow, you don't get a
Understand.
break.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a lot of my friends and stuff. It's like the serial monogamy, and like they rarely quote unquote play the field. They're
Hmm.
always like one relationship into the other. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Which I see some other guys like they're younger cats I know. They do that single life thing a lot and
Mm.
whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have the hippies, the flower children, I think Pluto and Leo, and so they
Woo.
definitely played the field. They
Yeah.
were just
Free
having
love.
free love everywhere.
Free
Yeah.
love.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, they were
Well,
considered kind of a narcissistic generation, but it's
yeah.
that Pluto and Leo thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you
What?
expect?
Right. Would it be nose to the grind
Nose
generation?
to the grind would be probably Pluto and Capricorn.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
because those
yeah.
guys know how to work. They're going to be like really hard workers.
So the
Yeah.
boomers, the baby boomers, they're Pluto and Libra, right? I mean,
No,
excuse me,
Pluto.
Pluto and Leo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
And then a lot of the millennials. I have Pluto and Virgo, I think it is, right at
Mm-hmm.
the very end.
Very
Yeah.
end. Yeah. What is
Yeah.
that? What do I have to say in Virgo?
It's
I
all
would think.
about health consciousness. I mean, that's a thing with me that I had my oldest had some serious health issues when he was little, and it drove me crazy because my degree was in, special needs and stuff like that, and took a
Mm-hmm.
while to diagnose him. So, um, it took till he's about 4 or 5, and so I just ended up going alternative routes because my degree let me know that the brain was kind of malleable before a certain age. So I did a lot of
Mm-hmm.
intervention with him, and then yeah, that's a totally Pluto and Virgo in a grand trine, with Mars and Saturn and stuff. So it was all about trying the alternative health paths. So we did like organic foods and all kinds of stuff that everybody else thought was weird.
Yeah,
Gluten free, those kind of things, because I wanted him up to his maximum potential, and he's there. He's yeah, it's good.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and you would think that you would Virgo and Pluto would getting better all the time too, right? Like
Yeah,
striving to
trying
be
trying
better,
to yeah, trying to be my
refined.
healthiest version of
Yeah,
myself. Exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, I think the Pluto
that's
and Sag is interesting too. That's a good one.
what do we got there?
Pluto and
Like,
Sag, I saw like almost the Common Core curriculum that's been shifted aside, thankfully, which isn't that great. But
hmm
um, that was like part of the curriculum that started rolling out a decade ago for these kids. But when you look in the school system, they're working together more as groups because that's totally a Pluto and Sagittarius, similar to Aquarius. The
uh-huh.
focus is more on group versus, self. I don't want to say self-determining, but they know that you get further, like Nash's game theory, when you work together as a group, to get something done, you get more done. So I
Yeah,
think they're all about like group harmony and group collective regeneration even, which is
yeah,
probably the people who were born before the American Revolution. They probably had that Pluto and Sag energy if we're repeating it now. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense because I get the sense of very the philosophers, like just looking at life and
Absolutely.
then the deeper
Yeah.
deeper meaning, but in a practical way, and how they can
Yeah.
make it better. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are the kids that are probably in like junior high right now, high school. Those guys and
Yeah,
older.
yeah.
Yeah,
A little
because
bit
my
older
son,
too.
because my son
Yeah.
is Pluto and Capricorn. That's what we're talking about. He was born in 2018. He's 6 years
Yeah.
old right now. Yeah, and he is kind of a nose to the grind person. He's silly, but
Uh-huh.
like I see it. Even my younger students, I see how they're very serious about, very like old school almost about, this is the way the answers should be, and there couldn't be no deviation. There's like no, there's like there can't be like other ways to get there.
Yeah.
And I tell them because like I mean I admit my L's even as a teacher sometimes, and I go like, oh, I made a mistake. They're like, teacher, no, teachers don't make mistakes. It's like, geez, guys, you guys are pretty pretty high strung kind of or whatever. Like they're into the yeah. But that Pluto Capricorn, that's wild. It's gonna be wild, huh?
Yeah, I think that's almost Gen Alpha is what they're being called. And
Yeah,
that
they
makes
are.
sense. Yeah, because they're gonna be some leaders of some sort.
Yeah. hmm Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Interesting enough,
fun.
my son is he's the opposite of me. His rising sign is Scorpio and his sun sign is Taurus. So
Oh,
that's a good
cool.
lesson for both of us. You know,
Yeah,
inner
yeah.
outer. Yeah.
And that's almost a repeat of the same cycles, or certain similar. You'll see when you look at intergenerational patterns within astrology, you'll see, you know, certain things keep repeating,
Mm.
like insofar as signs and whatnot. Like my moon sign is Gemini in Western astrology.
Ooh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so like my grandpa had a moon in Gemini, and I think my grandpa on the other side both did. And so my mom had Gemini
Wow.
rising. And so you'll
Mm.
see you'll see these things keep repeating where you see the patterns of, oh, this is the family dynamic, You
Yeah, right.
can look at that, which is cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you're I didn't see you in the chat for the last episode I had, but Look Within, shout out to Look Within. He came up and we ended up watching of all things a Teal Swan video. Something that I
Oh
haven't done
wow.
in a long time. But I was in the moment. I didn't like, have past or prejudging and bro, I listened. I've learned some interesting shit. Like her take on the family was very interesting because she was talking about parenting and to go along with what you were saying about the intergenerational signs and stuff. She was saying like, and I'm paraphrasing real quick, how the family can be seen as a current through consciousness. I guess your genetics, that's what I'll call it. It's like, humming along in the collective. your family genetics or whatever, and then every child that's born is a manifestation, the newest manifestation of that, which they have almost like a pure version of what the families, as a family, their purpose is to what to do, and
Mm-hmm.
we can look at our children as a their purpose can be seen as a way of like reminding us as an example in in the flesh of like where we need to go to expand our consciousness for our family, which is
Mm,
there for the
yeah.
whole collective consciousness as well. And I was like, fuck, man,
It's some
that was kind of
serious
cool.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, whoo, yeah. These
Well,
kids,
yeah.
they're teachers, man.
No, that's very true. I mean, that
Yeah.
was part of my own journey with like correcting my little part in the family tree that ended up turning outward, which I've talked to, Flow State Taylor's
Mm.
one of my friends. And so
Yeah.
I've never actually talked about it publicly, but I've told him before, like I was behind. I worked for 6 years behind exposing the sex abuse cover up there. SA, I should. Sorry, I'm very bad with that.
Hmm.
But yeah, the cover up that went on and was exposed in 2018. And that was like a long journey from like healing the family tree, and then it moved outwards to
Wow.
helping someone else, and then figuring out that's the root of my mom's neurosis, and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. And so, yeah, I mean, she had Gemini rising, come on. Um,
Yeah.
she was all over the
Jeez.
place as a
Right.
Pisces. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy
Wow.
growing up, but there's a
Yeah.
part that always knew that she loved me. It was just
Hmm.
kind of like, finding out, maybe 3 weeks before she died, like why she was crazy. And then
Mm.
but before then, putting down boundaries in order to protect the next generation of saying, well, I don't want this in my family. I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want these patterns. Keep the good parts, because there's still like a lot of like when you're detoxing from a family, all you can see is what's bad. But it's never like black and white. It's always like shades of gray. Everyone's got their own story. There's good parts too to bring forward. But I
Right.
think every generation has their own demons to battle. And if you don't
Hmm.
battle them and take care of them yourself, then you wrap them up in a gift and just hand them on to the next generation. And so
Yes.
I just was never about that. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just felt something was, something had to change. Mm.
Right. In a way, and people like I'll say, like us have an uncommon commonality in the fact that I think that like every family member does that to a certain extent, consciously or unconsciously. But with us, it seems like, and maybe I'm building it up, but like we have a lot of our generations in our backs right now that we put a stop to, especially what you just shared too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's not just like a couple generations. That could be from way the hell back there, like way back there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reading like Henry James, and his brother William James was like considered the father of modern American psychology. And you
Hmm.
start looking into their childhood and different stuff, and I'm like, whoa, from the lens of what we know today, there were some peculiarities that, you would potentially say were cover-ups even then, but
Yeah.
like all of these cover-ups are coming up to the surface, and what's the reason? That's for healing, because the new
Yeah.
generation in the age of Aquarius, it doesn't need that garbage anymore. It doesn't need that shame cycle. It doesn't
Hmm.
need that, you can enter into the mysteries of life without having them to be decrepit, I suppose. But that was
Yeah.
part of,
Clean.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, part of the
Yeah.
beauty of Pisces is entering into the mystery, but there's a part that we're about to focus on the more humanitarian aspects of how
Hmm.
you do that.
Yeah. And this is why I get with the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing. The knowing rather than like the Pisces was like belief. Because you're in a
Yeah.
mystery. Sometimes all you can do is belief, and that's good enough. However, that's belief. Pisces too can be illusions and stuff too, right?
Yeah, whenever you
Yeah.
see like Neptune in someone's chart
Yeah.
that has like Neptune conjunct their sun, opposite their moon, conjunct their moon, they're going to struggle a lot with how to be honest with themselves. Therefore, anytime they're dishonest with other people, a lot of times it's not personal. It's just that they don't have an easy time seeing themselves or other people And
Hmm.
so you look at things like, I think it's Bill Clinton's chart. He's got Neptune right on the ascendant, you know?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
damn,
So, I mean, there's some
I
illusion
can see
there.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
I would
yeah.
think I would. That's why when I describe Pisces, my general way to look at it is sometimes it's like those people are so magical, like when they're with you. However,
Mhm.
sometimes you like when they're not around, when they're not around, that you forget about. At least I forget about them, which is not meaning on purpose. It's not a diss or anything, but to me, it's like because they're so what's the word? Ephemerate, ethereal.
Ethereal.
Almost like a
Yeah.
ethereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Ethereal.
they're
Yeah.
like in between. They're so magical and like transparent, almost like a ghost or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Yeah.
energy. Those Pisces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very two fish swimming in the opposite directions. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're just, yeah.
yeah.
I feel bad for them, but not enough to like, I don't know, want to pet them a lot of
Dude,
times, you know? I
I,
mean, not, you know what I mean?
I,
It's like I'm not jumping
I
into
have.
that ocean.
No, for your yeah, no. See, look, that's what I was about to say. I knew a guy that he had an extreme hatred for Pisces, and part of that I think was from his narrative where his big brother was a Pisces and other reasons,
Wow.
and the thing is about it, like he had this video that went super viral. It was called literally "Why I Hate Pisces."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he made a
Wow.
list and this checklist because he's an Aquarius, so you know how when they're
Oh,
locked in.
sheesh. Yeah, no, that's a bad combo.
He just
Yeah.
went to town on him, and I was like, I always wonder, I'm like, why do you hate? Up until last year, I had a really, as people know, and that's been on this channel for a minute. I had a partnership that I did many broadcasts, like at least 30 broadcasts, last year and onto this year with the Pisces rising, and we had a a really bad falling out over some stupid
Really?
shit. Yeah, really, really dumb shit. However, the signs are always there. And I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes, like with myself, if I would just be more straight up, which I'm working on now with people, and not
Mhm.
like try to play the game of like of placating to non-negotiable things on my boundaries, which I don't which I won't tolerate.
Mhm.
Uh, you kind of like you bring everything onto yourself. I think, you know. With that said, this guy crashed out over some girl or something, which was weird.
Huh.
It was a really, really yeah, anyway, I saw what my friend was talking about with the Pisces. Yeah. What was
Oh,
that?
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I have some really close Pisces in my life that I absolutely adore and love. It depends on,
Uh-huh.
where in the, and I don't judge anyone by kind of their sun sign because I kind of have to look at their chart and see what,
For
because
sure. For sure.
there's
Yeah.
some strong I mean, like George Washington was a Pisces, so there's some strong
Oh, he
Pisces
was?
out there. Yeah,
Interesting.
February 22nd.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
good. Illusions from
yeah,
America.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Nah, but he's pretty
Yeah,
awesome. I'll give him his props. He did good shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
most of them were, this is another thing that I've talked to a few other people about when, like lockdowns and seeing different patterns because I naturally read patterns. Just I can't
Hmm.
help it. I'm always a pattern
Yeah.
reader. But
That's great.
yeah, well thanks. But yeah, with that, I look back, I'm like, well, all of our founding fathers, weren't they like Masons? And so
Hmm.
how do I know that they didn't set it up? Because they knew astrology. Because you go up
Oh
to
yeah.
Pennsylvania, you see all these astrological stuff, and I was like, how
Yeah.
did we not know that they didn't set it up for this crux right here of like doing something more global anyway? You know what I mean? Like for the
Yeah.
country.
They
I don't
had
know.
to. They
That's
had
kind of
to.
what I think.
Yeah. 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 I like
Hmm.
how you're very I see the earthy elements too in the fact that like someone like some of us with the watery the air signs would be like, oh yeah, it's definitely the conspiracy. Whereas you're like, I think that I mean that sounds like it. Where you don't like all the way, you know, go out on a crazy limb, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think for sure though. That's me. I think absolutely. It's just with their symbols alone, like you said, when you go to Pennsylvania Avenue, even when you it's because it's a global thing. When you go to France which was
Uh-huh.
heavily uh connected to Paris is a sister city of DC, definitely, especially with the Ben Franklin connection.
Yeah,
Like there's
Statue of Liberty was given to
the
us by
Statue of Liberty.
yeah.
Right,
Uh-huh.
right. It's all there. It's
Yeah.
all there. Yeah. And even now, um, with everything going on, there are astrologers or source. I call them Masonic sorcerer, Masonic
Mm.
sorcerer. They're out. They have to be out there, huh?
Oh
Making
yeah, I
their
think
doing their
was it
work.
it wasn't JP Morgan, but it was one of those guys. It was not Vanderbilt Morgan. One of those guys said millionaires don't hire astrologers, but billionaires do.
Right. It's Morgan.
Yeah.
You're right,
Morgan,
Morgan.
okay.
Morgan
JP
said that.
Morgan. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm like, wow, they knew what
Yeah.
was going on. They planned
Right.
long term.
They do. Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, because and there's another quote which I love. I'm just trying to figure out who said it. I don't. Maybe it was Blake, William Blake. It was like I'm paraphrasing something like, until you see the stars above your head as inside of you, you'll basically be a beast.
Ooh,
Like that's and what I get from that is like, yeah,
I like that one.
um, and 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 also too, do you think we can transcend the signs into, because what I look at astrology as it's a personality,
Hmm.
it's a personality thing where it's like we're kind of
Ooh.
mapping our personality, but when I think of personality, I think of person, I think of the Greek word mask, persona, but what's behind that, or is it just locked into us? What's your thoughts on that?
You don't want my thoughts.
Okay. Well,
My
shout out to Special K before we go there. This is good. What's up? What's up, Special K? This is gonna be good.
I like
I
space
do want
special
your
K.
thoughts.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, she's good.
my thought is that originally when I was studying Western astrology, the part with Western astrology is similar to like the sun is the center of our universe. So the sun, if you
Mm-hmm.
remember, like Leo, it's exalted in Aries. Aries is the
Right.
first. It's self, self, self. Um, and when you look at a Western astrology, it is more about people coming to you wanting to know about themselves. They don't necessarily
Yes.
want to know about their relationships
Yeah.
necessarily. They don't want to learn about others, but then when you get into the more like what we were talking earlier, the Vedic astrology, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that's a completely different animal, and that has more to do with what's your karma? What are you here for?
Mm.
What's your life purpose? It's so calculated you could even figure out kind of like what a person's probably gonna leave, you know? But the Vedic
Mm.
astrologers, yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. I've
But
heard
the
somebody do
Vedic,
that with the other one too, but it
mm,
makes sense how Vedic would, because they map such a fine detail, huh?
yeah, yeah, you see the map of the soul, and if you believe in reincarnation, you're coming back for similar lessons and then completely different lessons. You're bringing in strengths and stuff like that. And to me, that kind of just it just makes sense when I look at it. I'm like, oh, this is what you're working on. This is the time frame you're working on because in the Vedic they have like things called dashas. So
Mm-hmm.
you can have a same chart pattern. For example, for me, my same chart pattern is Tina Fey, Saturday Night Live. We
Ah,
have
cool.
yeah, I like her, and George
Yeah.
Carlin as well.
Oh,
Both of
you bastard.
but yeah, I love it. I love the way his mind thinks too. He's just,
Yeah.
brrr,
Legend.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
legend. No.
He was like, "You're not in the club," you know. And I'm like, it's kind of like
Yeah.
what we were talking about,
Yeah.
a minute
Yeah.
ago with the Masons and stuff. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they have these plans. You're not privy to what they are, and my mind thinks kind of like that too. But that's just kind of the personality when you look at it from the Western perspective. But when you look at
Yeah.
it more from the Eastern, you'll see the time frames of what things are like. For example, a lot of people, if they have Jupiter opposite Moon and it's in the first, fifth, or ninth house, one of those are activated. A lot of times it leads to people having an inheritance, but you don't know when until you actually look at these different dashas. But I like that insofar as figuring out why the person's here, what they're supposed to be learning about in different phases that they're supposed to be learning about. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, it's wild. It's
Yeah.
really, really
That's
wild. This the
wild.
deep. Yeah, I've seen it in your show when you were talking about dogs. Was it dogs you were
Hmm.
talking about one night?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big show actually.
Yeah. And that one, you had the moon was in maybe Sagittarius or something, but in the Vedic, it was under this one that was ruled by the dog. And you were
No way.
doing the, yes, you
No
were doing,
way.
yeah, it was
Okay.
wild because I watched 2 or 3
Yeah.
nights of you. Your themes would
Yeah.
correspond within the
Oh
Vedic
shit.
astrology of what that particular nakshatra ruled or was
Yeah.
ruled by. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
I
don't,
didn't
I
look
don't
at anything. I don't know. I'm
I
getting
didn't
chills
think you
now.
were
That's
planning
crazy.
that ahead of time. I was like, man, he's
No.
within the flow here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I like that for that purpose. And so far as
Yeah.
figuring out people's karma, how to direct them on like what's going to happen, kind of in a theme. It's more of a theme, kind of like Pluto moving through a house is a theme, because it takes so long. And I
Uh-huh.
think those lessons take longer. So, mm,
Yeah, yeah, because that's my big question the last couple of years was like, what's my purpose, And you can
yeah,
ask other people like, what's your purpose? That's for you to find out. However,
right.
I guess what I was asking for is like a direction and how to find that.
Mm,
That's what I was looking for, and that sounds like something that could help you out with that, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, and then you execute and put in the work once you, get
yeah.
directed into whatever you're directed. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild
Yeah.
because like my astrology teacher that I met when I was like
Hmm.
21, 22, she's about 15 years older than me, so she's into retirement age now, and she knows I'm been getting into the Vedic, and she asked me to look at her chart, so I did,
Hmm.
and I got into the minutia, and I was like, yeah, you're entering your Mars dasha now after leaving your moon for 11 years, and I looked at her chart and made some comparisons. I was like, I see younger foreign neighbors around you that are going to be very helpful, and you're going to have these young
Mm.
people, and I could just see it in her chart, but don't ask me to ask exactly what it was, but she's like,
Yeah.
that's crazy, this young family with their 18 to 22-year-old kids who are from Puerto Rico have been taking care
Uh-huh.
of her for the last year, and I had no clue since she
Wow.
since she fell and hurt her leg or something.
Yeah.
She's like, they've been helping me with like hurricanes in Florida and stuff, and
Yeah.
I was like, that's wild.
That's
I'm
dead
like,
on right there.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
foreign,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Hmm.
yeah. And I had another friend that I was trying to tell, I looked at their composite chart, which is completely different, but I was like, I see a new child coming in the equation. I see a new baby.
Mm.
And they're like, and they started laughing at me, and they're like, yeah, that's an impossibility. Yeah, that's taken care of. And I didn't really know them that well. And so I was
Yeah.
like, well, they were kind of a new friend, and they asked me to look at the chart, and I was like, yeah, Well, within a month or so, they had the stepdaughter moved out of her dad's house and into their house. And I was like, there's your
Wow.
new child.
There he
It's
is right
you
there.
that's a new
Yeah.
person you're taking care of.
Hmm.
It's a kid. And it was just
Yeah.
kind of wild, like those are just patterns though. They're just like energy patterns you can see when you look at a chart and you've been studying this stuff. It's not something where, oh, I'm special because I've got all the power because I can read astrology. No, it's not like that. It's just
Yeah.
they've been monitored for thousands of years, and you can tell what's going to happen with them if you understand them. How to read the symbols, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah, the symbols. And the best way to, because for me, like when I said the Babylonian Western astrology,
Mhm.
good beginners, the way I see it is like know that you know what all the symbols mean, the houses, what they represent, the signs, the elements, and then go from there, and then maybe learn the transits, what they mean, and then you can
Yeah.
just with that knowledge alone, you can go far, right?
Hmm.
But in terms of the Vedic, do you think it's similar, or there's some other caveats? How would a newbie start with that?
Hmm.
What do you think is good for them to do?
Um, Probably study the planets because they mean slightly different things in Vedic, you know?
Hmm.
Um, they have they have different they don't have different interpretations, but it's a little bit more nuanced. Like for example, Saturn and Mercury are neutral, kind of like Gemini
Yeah,
and Pisces. They're kind of neutral. They don't have a gender. But then you look at things like Sun, Jupiter, and Mars, very masculine. And
yeah.
then you look at things like Venus and the Moon, and even the
Hmm.
South Node, which is called K2 in that one. Those are feminine, I
Hmm.
forget what the North Node is, but those kind of things you would get familiar with, like what the planets stand for first, so you can see how it's operating in
Yeah.
your chart. Hmm.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because I seen a correspondence with the Vedic stuff, and I'm bad I forgot. I had gotten a reading for somebody. I think it was
Hmm.
probably overpriced, but at least he got me started. And he was telling me that I forgot what planet it is in Vedic astrology that kind of corresponds to the sun in terms of kind of like your core or whatever. That's all I said. And whatever planet it was, I think it was for me it was Aries. So he said in the Vedic astrology, it was Aries was the because I asked him, I'm like, what would be the equivalent of the sun, my sun sign in the Vedic astrology? You know,
Hmm.
what? And when he looked at my chart, he said it was Aries, right? And
Mm.
but I'm a Scorpio here. But then when I look at my north and south nodes of the moon, my south node is in Aries, and I do have I feel like a big connection.
Oh,
My
okay.
wife's a triple Aries in the sense that she's a was it Sun Mercury and rising Aries,
Oh,
and
serious?
yeah, which is her, I think her moon of being in Taurus, and Venus in
Cool.
Taurus kind of softens that out, but there's a lot of
Hmm.
fire definitely with her. But what I'm saying is like I really respect Aries, that that sign, that energy right there. But I don't have it in my chart. But when I looked at when he told me the Vedic, he's like, oh yeah, you would be considered like the Aries strong energy.
Oh, because you would
Um,
have Aries rising in that chart. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you have Taurus rising in Western, it's usually Aries and the Eastern one. And so then, yeah, Mars is a definite
Yeah.
component in your life because that's a big energy ruling the chart. So yeah, yeah, Mars would probably be the planet that he's
That he was talking
suggesting.
about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I my last broadcast I did the preempted Mars and Leo broadcast, and that's one of my favorite parts of my Western chart is the Mars and Leo I have in the Western chart because I don't know, I like that energy. That's why I like doing these shows and stuff and making art and kind of being
Yeah.
spotlight, kind of, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
my wife's is interesting because her Mars was in Pisces, and I can see that in her, even though she has all that Aries energy on her other chart. You know?
Oh, yeah. And in
Yeah.
Vedic, she might actually be a Pisces instead. Um,
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what the guy.
yeah.
That's what it was said. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And see, like in the Vedic, your sun might actually be, it would be in Libra, which echoes
Mm.
the whole seventh house Libra stuff of balancing and being here in the market and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then you still have that Mars energy with Aries rising. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's amazing how they kind of just they both work and they
Yeah.
both seem to echo similar patterns too. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right about the whole thing about like some of the biggest shows was the most people are the ones when they like will read your chart because it does give people a chance to go totally inside, all about themselves. Even
Yeah.
people who don't like astrology, they're like they want their chart read. It's so funny.
Yeah,
You
we
ever
should
see
do
that?
that sometime. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like doing that, just looking at random charts.
Hmm.
And then yeah, and
Yeah. For for you, what is your Mars in Vedic and all that?
it's also
Your rising.
that's my Mars is the only one that stays the same in Vedic and in Western. That's both in
Okay.
Capricorn. So, but in rising in the Vedic it would be Cancer rising instead of Leo.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Uh-huh.
that makes a lot of sense,
Hmm.
nurturing and motherhood. Because in the Western astrology, I have no water in my chart whatsoever, and so I was like, that doesn't seem right, because I'm like, no, there's too much nurturing. I'm a mom, there's like that's like
Uh-huh.
I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the Vedic, I was like, nah, it makes sense. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
No, I like that because you actually have proof. Because the cop out is to say is like the cope is to say when people say, "Oh, you don't have that in your chart in the Western," they go, "Well, because you already learned those lessons." in your past life if you believe in that. Like, oh, you didn't need that energy here and now, but in fact, no. Look at the other charts. It's right
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's right
Hmm.
there. It makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And then if one is the same, if something is the same in both charts, you could tell that's probably a very strong sign or a strong planet that's
Hmm.
you're supposed to, like for me, it's Mars, so therefore I was meant to wage a certain war that other people didn't quite get. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, and I did that strategically behind the curtain in a very bizarre way, you know?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting to look at the differences between the charts and then also
Yeah.
the similar themes.
Well, now you say your fight and your exposing of those traumas was done in a bizarre way. Bizarre,
Hmm.
would that be like your like I think of Aquarius or Uranus even, or
Mm,
what do you think the bizarre part coming from, or unexpected, maybe?
more of a hidden behind the
Oh, hidden.
curtain,
Okay.
behind the scenes of is almost a Scorpio way.
Hmm.
But it was kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like this priest didn't like me. And so
Hmm.
I'm like, my radar's going off about you, but I'm not quite sure why. And
Hmm.
then he was a narcissist, charismatic priest that led one of the large, I mean, there was like 6,000 families in this church. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So for me to have a problem with someone who's a total cash cow,
Hmm.
and then I found out later on, I think it was maybe I was at that church for 4 or 5 years. I was very Catholic at the time. I'm not
Hmm.
now, obviously, but yeah. And then slowly but surely, I think it was back in 2012, I found out that he'd done
Yeah.
something, had been covered up. And so then I reached out to the mother
No. No,
from
that's
there.
awesome that you did that. Yeah, because yeah, I went to Catholic school most of my life. I went to Catholic school, and then I went to Jesuit high school, and saw some weird shit. Thank God, nothing was done to me, but I
Hmm.
did witness some weird shit in the sense of like, for example, like I used to work at the rectory. That's a weird
Mm.
name too, rectory, with all the with all this shit with around the
Ah,
priests.
yeah, wrecked.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, a rectome, yeah, and I'd be there in the early morning on Saturdays, and like the most flamboyant, like gayest, like looking, acting priests would always have like young students, high school students, come visit them early in the morning, and they go back to their room, and then and then in in elementary school there was at our Catholic school there was a group of kids who, because most of us played sports, right, the boys and stuff, and even the
Mhm.
girls too, and some of those kids that didn't play sports, they felt like they didn't, when they wanted to do something after school or whatever, and one of the priests, the quote unquote cool priest, Father Bob, he wanted to teach them kung fu, right, so they did their kung fu class with them, and come to find out, this Father Bob was showing them pornos in the rectory, in his, in his
Oh
room,
no,
and
that's gross.
doing other things,
Ugh.
and the crazy thing is, I think they just moved his ass. They didn't really make a big announcement at the school to the parents. I'm sure the parents of the kids knew about it or
Right.
whatever, and I don't think. And someone said they saw him at another diocese,
Hmm.
so it's like it's a systematic. It
Yeah,
is
it was
true.
it was it
Yeah,
was very systematic because it's a very big system, and
yeah.
it's based on fear of going to hell. Because this was a deacon's son, and then it came out in 2002, but it was a mock trial. It was
Hmm.
internal and just it was a joke. And so by
Hmm.
2012, I realized, all that stuff that they did in 2002, I don't buy it. So from
Yeah.
then to I think 2018 when the Cardinal McCarrick story broke, I was actually working with another friend in Buffalo who was working with Shaban O'Connor, who was like one of the whistleblowers of the year that year. And so we were working simultaneously and kind of unknowingly to help strengthen people to expose their stories.
Hmm.
And but yeah,
Yeah.
there's some disgusting stuff. But if you actually go back and read, there's other things like Bella Dodd. Have you ever heard of her?
Sounds very familiar.
Bella Dodd died in the 1950s, but before she died, Bishop Fulton Sheen of New York used to have a TV show. He had her write down how the Socialist and Communist Party infiltrated the public school system in the
Hmm.
1920s and 30s in New York, and it spread out. But they were
Yeah.
simultaneously doing the same thing with the Catholic seminaries in the 1950s, which is
Mm.
why they changed the standards and how they ended up being corrupted from within. It's
Yeah.
the like Trojan horse, you know. It's easier to
Yeah.
corrupt a thing from within than to attack it externally. If you want to
Yeah.
do the most large scale damage, you corrupt from within.
Right.
So,
The core of it
mhm,
right there. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's
That
what
makes
happened with seminaries.
see, that's a practical way, like Occam's razor way of looking at it, like the most plausible thing. Because in the last year, there's been like, at least on the internet, a lot of YouTube, a lot of sensational listen about the exposing the Catholic Church through that guy. I don't know if you've seen him before. What's his name? Amon Tillman or something like that, where he talks about like how Jesus in the Bible was, was actually getting with kids, and then the Catholic Church. He has these things where the Catholic Church is, that's part of the rituals is molesting and all that, which is like, and it's like he has a fringe channel, but like big platforms were giving him a voice. When in
Oh, never heard of
fact,
him.
yeah, he is some wild stuff he was saying because supposedly he's a expert in ancient Greek, right? Especially
Okay.
especially like uh, pharma pharmacia type stuff,
Pharmakia, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
pharmakeia
about. Yeah,
stuff, like the
yeah,
language. And
yeah,
he
yeah.
was saying that like basically this is him, not my words. He was saying that in the Garden of Gethsemane story, Jesus was actually like on some type of like heroin opiate while he
Mm.
was with children and stuff, and then he has some other stuff he talks about, like the Vatican. Anyway, um, all this to say, I think to tie it in with the age of Pluto and Aquarius, the age of secrets is kind of over almost. You can't really. It's
Mm.
getting harder and harder to get away with things, right? Because there's CCTV everywhere. People are speaking up on things. Everything's recorded. You know.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that as part of this, the traits of this Pluto and Aquarius,
Yeah, I
or
mean
something else?
the it can be very good, but also if you look at Aquarius, it is actually the most stubborn of all of the fixed signs
Yeah.
because Aquarius, like all air signs, rules the intellect. Like
Uh,
Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, that's emotions, that's water. And then you have Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, that's earth. We rule like
mm,
earth signy things, and then what's the other one? I'm missing fire. The
fire.
fire,
Yeah.
yeah. But when you get to the intellectual stubbornness, when someone is wrong on an intellectual matter,
Uh
it's
huh.
much harder to change their mind and change their course. So if you go
Yeah.
down a bad path with the Aquarius stuff, it becomes much harder to correct it, in
Yeah.
my
I see
opinion.
it. I see it.
Yeah.
And because a lot of them, like I told you, my friend, my partner, we used to do content with, the one that said I hate all Pisces. He was an Aquarius, and I noticed though a lot of the Aquariuses I know, they do have that genius source code thing about them. Some of them,
Yeah,
where
they
they
have
they know their
big
shit,
genius.
man.
They
But
do.
and then also too, especially with him and somebody else that and I'll bring it up in a second in the panel verse. They have this thing where I truly believe they do really put the group want to put the group as the collective. They really cherish that, and that's a top priority of them. They want the best for the quote unquote collective.
Uh-huh.
However, the way they go about it is almost like an unbalanced Leo tyrant. Which is the
Yeah.
polarization of it, of Aquarius and Illumitami.
Oh,
He's
yeah, yeah, I've heard
Aquarius.
of him. Yeah.
He's
I don't
Aquarius,
know
and
him, but yeah. He is
the
an
one that wants,
Aquarius?
yeah, he wants to kill Flo. Yeah,
That's
I'll say it.
hilarious.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that, but that's not surprising. Yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah.
seems very Aquarian out there, the way he does his electric eyes on his channel.
Yes,
That's so Aquarius.
all
Yeah.
the yeah the eccentric
Yeah.
accessories and and props and stuff. That's a very Aquarius, huh?
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
you know, think about this. Well, I'll just say this real quick. And the funny thing is, his nemesis, his art nemesis, is Jack Talcott, who's a Leo.
oh my gosh, are you kidding? That
Yeah,
makes total sense now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
It's
so
so funny.
funny.
It's so funny. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's yeah, I had no idea. But
yeah.
I did not I would see I think almost Leos are easier to give correct information to when they're
Oh
wrong
yeah,
about something
yeah, yeah. They'll admit it. Yeah,
than an Aquarius. Aquarius is
yeah.
never wrong. They're just
Never,
like
never,
never
never.
wrong.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It's so
And plus,
funny.
Jack is a rising Scorpio, so I think he's probably very self. I think he's introspective, especially at this point in his life. Even though some of the shit he does, having all those weirdos on the panel all the time, I was like, that's why I don't really go over there anymore. But I like Jack; he's a friend. Um,
That's cool. I've
yeah,
seen him
but
a few times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But why is it that the Aquarius energy seems to not want to take the L or acknowledge the L publicly or
Oh,
maybe
because
even
they do
internally?
everything like, if you think about the planet, Uranus is the only one that's, like, flip side on its axis. It doesn't it
Yeah,
doesn't do anything normal. There's nothing about it that's normal.
you're
Like,
right.
why would taking losses be normal to them? They're
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm the exception," you know? Don't
That's
you know that
true.
about me? I'm special.
Yeah,
But and a lot
yeah.
of them are they're quite genius, but it's just where their blind spots are. They will go to their death, and I have seen them go to their
Hmm.
death because they can't change the way that they think about a problem if it's the wrong thinking. It's
Yeah,
leading them into some place they shouldn't go. They can it's just it's so painful to watch from the outside because I
yeah,
have some very good Aquarius friends and energy over the years. So yeah, I'm like, stop! You're about to go off a cliff, please.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, yeah. And then I know some ones that are like not that like we were talking about earlier. How that Leary uh, interpretation of the Aquarius, how it can go unbalanced, can be like the kind of like the dystopian dictator,
Yeah,
authoritarian like society. Their version of what they believe is the best for society.
yeah,
And then he paired it against the opposite of the other extreme, a hippie commune, Aquarius. You
yeah,
know, what's and I know a guy who's True Life Stories. He's a YouTuber. You know, probably the biggest like live streaming psychedelic channel. Black dude from he lives in San Diego, but he's had a crazy life. But the guy's such a good person, and he's Aquarius. But it's almost that he's too giving. He's too
oh
much for the
yeah,
group. Where some of those people like kind of like seem to, from what I see, like kind of like take advantage of that shit. Yeah, you
oh
know.
yeah,
So
yeah. I've seen
yeah.
plenty of them taking advantage because they rule friendship, so they're
Hmm.
very good friends.
Very good
It,
friends, huh?
yeah, I've that's some of my best friends. I mean, yeah, give you the shirt off their
Yeah.
back,
Right. Yeah.
definitely.
What's some blind spots for? What's up, Charlie? How's it going? Good to see you. What's some blind spots for Taurus energy? Because you said you were a sun sign. I'm a rising. My son's a Taurus sun.
Ah. Probably when things are not stable and being able to change them to where
Hmm.
they could be stable if they're against what they think they should be or tradition or what their
Hmm.
habit are, what they're comfortable with. Changing
Yeah.
course on that. I have a Gemini moon, so I can do that. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like
That's a gift, man.
normally, yeah, it is with that Taurus energy and other stuff
Yeah.
and Leo rising. Yeah, it can be quite fixed, but
Yeah.
switching course is not easy with being stubborn on where the comfort level is in the material
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I forget that if you would have mentioned that you were a Taurus sun sign, I couldn't really see it other than your steadiness and your like grounding energy that you give off. Um,
Well, thanks.
you're welcome, thank you. And but that makes sense that Gemini moon for you to help with that because some of the Taurus, which are some of my good friends here on the channel, not you, Special K, you're great. You're Taurus rising, I think you said. But like some other male Tauruses I know, when they get to sometimes it's like they cannot get out of this tunnel hole of what the point they want to make. and they're not willing to like kind of
Yeah.
they
Switch
just
course.
straight court. They just steamroll, and I don't think and then they're not necessarily doing it in a mean spirited way, but
Mhm.
it is someone like me who's very aware of these dynamics. It's like very oh man, it's like so cringe when they can just go on a monologue for like 5 minutes without being like, maybe this doesn't look right. Who else wants to talk? You know, I'd
Can't
probably
read
be
the
doing it
room.
to you. I'd probably be
No, no,
doing it to
no.
you.
I don't feel that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
No, no.
Um,
Uh-uh.
yeah, can't read the room. That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of times they can't because they're more interested in their own comfort zones usually and what's normal to them, and
Hmm.
there's no give and take there, and their way
Give and
is the
take.
right
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it can be good sometimes. I mean, Ulysses S. Grant was a Taurus and he broke up the Civil War. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
good for generals and stuff when you're full steam ahead, you've got a path, you've got a vision, you want to
Hmm.
implement it.
Oh yeah.
Those fixed signs can
Steadfast.
definitely manifest it, you know,
Yeah.
really manage it to materialize what the vision is. But coming up with the vision, changing course when you're on the battlefield and it's not working, that's often very hard for fixed signs to do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but could they look to? Because I used to look into evolutionary astrology, different forms of it, and they're big on at least the teacher I was, was studying with,
Uh-huh.
like they're very big on like the polarizations of the signs, of how to
Yeah.
figure out like that particular sign. So could Scorpio lessons help with that Taurus? Help the Taurus with that?
Absolutely.
Like how
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, because Scorpios is they're all about regeneration and whatever you've got, like yeah, like a Taurus will sit there and just drown in the manure, and then like
Hmm.
a Scorpio is going to come out and say, "Hey, let's make something grow under here," and so they're going to take
Yes,
some of
some
it
flowers.
away. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They're going to take
yeah.
some of that manure away, so it's just the right amount that you can reach up to the
Uh-huh.
sunlight, and things will start moving and growing again, which is why it's
Mm.
really good if you're a farmer to plant during like phases of the moon where it's water signs, because those water signs definitely, even Scorpio, will bring things up and make them grow. And so for
Mm.
me, I've definitely had some insights over the years from Scorpios that know how to get me out of a rut when my thinking
Yeah.
or my patterns are just not working well.
Right.
And they'll be
Right.
like, well, maybe you should look at it from this angle. I'm like, huh, okay.
Yeah. I've done that for myself. I've done that for myself as well. So what about your Mercury? I'm curious. I was
Aries.
thinking fire. I was thinking fire. I was thinking fire. That's
Yeah.
that that's like my wife and my son. And y'all seem to like just get it. Just like whereas me, I'm like, duh, like it takes me a minute to figure something out. But when I get it, I get it. Uh but I have Mercury in Sag,
Oh,
but
that's a good
with
one. No, it's not.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually
It's
that's in
kind of
its detri
confusing.
yeah, that's in its detriment or something, right?
Yeah. Or
Mercury
it
and
takes me
Sag,
a
yeah.
minute to get to where it takes me a minute to get where I'm talking about. Because
Yeah.
I'm talking about like what I believe. It's always about like metaphors too.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But when I talk about something I truly am passionate about, I think that's when I'm at my best, I guess,
Oh
about
yeah.
communicating.
Yeah.
Um, but Mercury, I love you y'all with the Mercury and Aries. It's like you see something, and it just a lot of times the first thing you say is like it resonates with what's going on. You just see it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You may not even know why, but it just is what it is, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't sometimes have enough of a filter. Well, I've gotten better over the years, but I used to have really bad foot and mouth disease, where it's just like whatever I think just kind of, boo, there it goes.
Yeah.
No filter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've learned to get more of a filter as I've gotten older, but yeah, that's a kind of a
Yeah.
Mercury and Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind
Yeah.
of zip zip. And then it's square Mars in my natal chart. So I do like debate. I do like arguing sometimes. And I don't
Hmm.
understand when people take it so seriously. I'm like, they're just ideas. You could throw it on the table.
Well, you tell that to Mercury and Mercury and Sag, just ideas. It's like what I believe. It's my philosophy. That's why I don't like debating, but I do.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, because
I
you can
get
you can get
into it,
brand
man.
new ideas and then
Yeah.
different trajectories on how you
Hmm.
change your thoughts and stuff. And I think that's
Ooh.
cool.
Yeah,
You
I'm
don't.
curious about the big daddy of the panelverse, Andrew Wilson's Mercury's. I wonder
Hmm.
what his because he's a really good debater,
Oh yeah.
but oh, speaking of that, people I think is it Flo a Sagittarius sun sign?
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah,
is.
I can see
He's
that.
he's
I can see
fun.
that.
He
Yeah,
doesn't get offended by
exactly.
anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that about
They
the
keep it in
flow.
the wind. And
Yeah.
if we're looking at in my narrative, I see the Sagittarius as the adolescent and in terms of the if we're looking at like stages, that's one way I look at it. Even though they're philosophers too, kind of like
Yeah, no, I
uh,
look at them more as a different kind of warrior because if you look at
mhm.
them, they're archers. So
Right.
once they aim at something, they're gonna usually hit it. But
Uh-huh.
they're usually light on their feet like horses, so they can just run off as soon as they shot that arrow at you, and then they're on to the
Mm,
next target.
yeah.
But they're like a different, unique type of warrior. It's different than Scorpio or an Aries or anything like that, but
Yeah.
they do kind of they rule politics, and politicians are a lot of Sagittarius and Libra energy. Lawyers,
Yeah.
yeah. They're not
Well, if you
as
see him, not as wet. They're not as wet.
they're not as they're not gonna die on the hill. They're gonna
Right.
like yeah.
Well, look at the weapon choice we just mentioned for a warrior. That's an arrow that might as well be a controlled missile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone controlling it in Boulder, Colorado, controlling the missile in Afghanistan. Kind of missile. That's the new version of it. They're not getting touched, right? Like you said,
No.
precision. That's
Yeah.
precision. Whereas Scorpio might be like strategy, like ninja
Mhm.
type stuff, and Aries is just like Leonidas,
Mhm. Yeah, I love
Troy.
Leonidas. Yeah.
Just going right at you, right? That's going
Yeah.
right at you. Oh, speaking of that, I just saw that what's trending on Reddit right now. One of the things is Matt Damon is who's the main character of the Odyssey? He's playing him. The movie's coming out, and they showed a picture of him.
Ulysses?
Ulysses, yeah,
Ulysses?
he's playing
Yeah.
Ulysses, yeah. So
Oh, that's cool.
that's gonna come out. It's probably gonna be epic. Um,
Pun
but
intended.
yeah, yeah, definitely intended. Yeah, yeah. Well, with the flow state stuff too is because he can talk about a lot of different things too. Kind of like a
Yeah, he jumps.
Sag. That's such.
Yeah, he jumps
Yeah.
all over the place, and then sometimes his arrows of truth hit really hard for people, and it amuses me because they
Mhm.
get all upset. And he didn't even know that he shot them. And he's
Yep.
like, haha,
Oh yeah.
haha, why
Right.
are you taking it
Right.
so seriously? I'm not. Let's go into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my it's it's also too corresponding people astrology to people like we know, not just in our family but our friends. I think it's double. Do you hear that double? Do
Yeah.
you have the thing something on? Let me see.
Yeah, I probably do.
Let me see. Hello, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Uh, yeah, I can hear you. I
Okay.
heard
I'm
me a
just
little bit, but that's better. That's better. Yeah, I just hear it a
okay.
little bit. Yeah, the echo. Oh, what I'm saying is like my brother, who I've talked about in the broadcast, like how I'm estranged from him. I haven't seen my little brother. November. No, his birthday's December 11th. He's a Sag, and it's funny enough that like I met Rest. I don't know if you know Resto Chesto.
Hmm.
Like I met him maybe like 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, coming up on 4 months, and we're
Hmm.
cool. Like he's really cool dude, a good creator and all that. And he come to find out he has the same birthday as my brother,
Oh
and it's
wow.
funny like I see that, like I see certain things. Of course, everyone's their own person, right? Right, unique
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that,
everyone's
but
got their own chart.
yeah, yeah, but it's definitely to see some of the same characteristics and stuff. You know, good with the
Hmm.
computers and just talks about a lot of interesting different things and whatnot. But um, yeah.
Oh, and it's funny because the other one that they just met up with from the UK, I think she's a Gemini, which is polar opposite
Oh,
to
Mel.
Sag.
Yeah, Mel. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Wow, that's a good. I can't believe I didn't put two and two together. That's true, and they had a big.
Ye-
They seemed to have like a falling out. Well, they did. Yeah,
Like opposites, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
At first it
But,
was Flo and her, and then it was now, I guess, Resto. But yeah,
wow,
yeah, that's what all opposites
wow.
look like when they
Yeah,
manifest in destruction, mutual
just
destruction.
yeah.
Which I have an aunt that was
uh,
like a Scorpio that is just the lowest version of it. And I did have that was many years of war.
yeah,
But that's the only Scorpio I've ever
yeah.
come in contact where it was like,
Well,
oh, you're my polar opposite, and we are going to destroy each other before this is done.
this this is yeah, this is why like I'm happy I know astrology, especially with my
Uh-huh.
son, because I could see that possibility could happen if not taking heed to certain things, because we are, like I said, we're the opposite, right? But with that
Yeah.
said, when we're good, we're like super good.
Oh
And
yeah, I get along with most Scorpios, but this one was a Capricorn moon with I think even Scorpio rising or something, but her moon was in the 12th
that's
house. It was really she's got bad energy just
that's
all around.
dark and
Very
very serious and down,
yeah,
Debbie Downer. Wonk
yeah,
wonk.
most manipulative that I've ever encountered. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we don't stand for the same things. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's but
Mm.
that's the only one I've had that I haven't. Most of the time I usually get along with them really well. In fact, I've got an inordinate amount of friends that are in that in
Yeah.
Aquarius. Hmm.
Yeah. Scorpio, huh?
Yeah,
what's your expansion planet? Your Jupiter. I'm curious.
Sag.
Okay, which is at home, right?
Yeah.
There.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Conjunct Neptune.
Wow.
Yes, it's
So,
highly spiritual.
very, huh? You're a lucky
Super, yeah.
person too.
Thanks. I think so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, like mine's in Cancer, right?
Ooh, it's
And I've.
exalted.
Oh, that's where it's exalted.
That's the
Really?
best
Oh,
sign for Jupiter is Cancer. Yeah.
really? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
where its exaltation point is. Uh-huh.
I
It's a
feel like a
great
lot of
one.
my expansions have been like in terms of emotional experiences too. Could that be tied into that? Because of cancer or family stuff? Like family is really big to me. I know a
Oh
lot of people
yeah.
say that, but yeah.
No, I mean if your Mercury is in Sag and then your Jupiter is in Cancer, then a lot of your thoughts and everything are going to go towards home and family and tradition
Hmm.
and expansion. And I would even say you're probably even good at real estate, but you might not know it. Um,
That's
but
funny. I used to study that. I wanted to be a real estate agent for a minute there.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Kind of
haven't
doing
even
that
looked at
now.
I
Yeah,
haven't even
actually.
looked at your chart, but I would say
Yeah.
just from what you're telling me, you would probably do really well in real estate. Just
Yeah.
from, yeah, I would I would pursue that if I were you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I need to get all my properties. You're gonna see my picture with the blazer all over Taiwan here. Selling property. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
investment properties, Airbnbs,
Hmm.
all of that, yeah. Especially
Right.
for people traveling from the States. But yeah, I could see you definitely doing well with that one.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah.
But teaching, you said you teach.
Right. I teach. Yep.
That
That's
makes
what I'm doing.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Do,
something that I do. I enjoy it. It's a challenge, but I enjoy it.
is it middle school?
It's it's from first grade all the way up to high school.
Okay, there you go.
Just yeah,
Jupiter and
yeah,
Cancer. Cancer is like that in between age of like third grade to about ninth grade. So
yeah. Those are my most of the majority of my students actually.
there you go. There's
Yeah,
Jupiter and Cancer. And it's in
yeah,
your third house, I'm guessing?
yeah. You got it.
There you go. Yeah,
You got it.
that's perfect for
Wow.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
teaching
Hmm.
that age frame is perfect. Yeah,
Mm,
especially with Mercury and Sag.
yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
And I seem to be kind of hitting a stride, making like was it Malcolm Gladwell hit the tipping point in terms of teaching.
Uh,
In a sense that I've been at this academy for a couple years now, and I'm getting because before I taught mostly like no college and professionals and stuff like English,
Okay.
right? And now it's like I have like a real, like students I see all the time now, like and um I'm starting to. That's why I told you earlier about the whole asteroid thing about um n-
Circes?
yeah, about nurturing and stuff. That's something that I'm being very aware of because when I first started, I was really trying to be that disciplinarian, I guess Capricornian, even Scorpio, like discipline at all costs type of shit. Like I don't want to hear any noise type of
No,
stuff,
that
and
doesn't work for you.
doesn't work. It doesn't. It
No,
doesn't work. and
that's
and
not a
this
good way for
semester,
you to teach. Yeah.
yeah, and this next semester, this current semester, I flipped it, where
Good.
where
Yeah.
and I've seen resorts like the students wanting even to stay around during the break and hang out and stuff
Yeah.
and talk or whatever. So yeah, I
Yeah,
would
I
think
mean, I
that.
would think like with Cancer, Jupiter and Cancer in the third house, you're really good at communicating those things, especially to
Mhm,
that age level. But even on here, I mean, because third house is communication, it's the
mhm,
mediums like this with teaching like along those lines. That would be a nurturing form for, I mean, that's a gift, you know.
yeah,
Not everybody has that talent.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Thank you for that sharing that.
of course. That's wild how I knew your age frame because the older kids that would be
Hmm.
more of a like if you're looking at high school, upper high school and early college, that's a Jupiter and Leo.
Hmm.
Maybe good teaching there, but then Virgo would be adults, but that age frame would be perfect for you.
Yeah, it is because I get it. Like, other than a couple of kids that are like, and the funny thing is, I think the ones that I was having trouble with, I wasn't looking at like because I think may have had. I'm not a doctor or anything, of course. They might have had some neurodivergent stuff going on because
Uh-huh.
they don't really don't talk to us about like the administration or whatever. But once I like put things into perspective and kind of know their communication style and stuff and learning style, it's actually like I said, it's been a really good semester. And but the funny thing is, my oldest class, which is maybe like kids in their they call it
Mm-hmm.
senior high school, like which is like 10 to 12th grade or 11, 12.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Those guys are like it's like going it was like going against going as a comedian and no one laughs. Like just like they're so serious. They're so serious, and then just tried different things to I guess break him down, kind of whatever. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
see,
wish
like
it's
that
it's
that's
it's
that's
crazy.
my ideal because I've got that Jupiter and Sag. So I do not like teaching the group that you're teaching because
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh my gosh, no, we're not on the same page. But then
yeah,
when I get to the upper teenagers and even adult level, I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, the humor's the same, the all of
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
connection. Yeah.
yeah. No, and I do have fun teaching those older upper class kids
Hmm.
but I had it very easy the first year teaching there because my upperclassmen, they love to talk and like they were just like love to express themselves. It's just that this
Mm.
particular class is very stoic almost. I mean, but some of them are showing they're showing their whatever. They're showing their
Oh.
true, just getting more comfortable, I guess. But yeah, the teaching is a trip. I went from being a customer service for 20 something years to being a teacher when I moved out here. So this is
Oh
it's been
wow.
definitely a paradigm shift and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
Anyone who's got that strong Jupiter would be good at teaching,
hmm
honestly, because that rules like philosophy and higher learning and all of that.
hmm
So I saw that Look Within also shared some of their information.
Yeah, he said he's a Sag sun sign.
Is
Um
Sag also? Okay.
yeah, he's a Sag, yeah.
Virgo moon, Libra rising.
Yeah. Virgo
Yeah.
moon, Libra. Wow. Uh
Yeah, so that's like a moon in the 12th house. That's like a Pisces moon. And then third house. That's very similar to yours. You have Jupiter in the third house. They've got a Sag Sun in the third house. So your
Hmm.
communication style is very similar to Look Within with regards to higher things, like philosophies and whatever.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
yeah. We definitely seem to vibe. He's like my like him and Shadow, my day one.
That's cool.
Like riding with me on these broadcasts, and he came
Your
up
rider
like
dies.
ride or dies
Mhm,
definitely.
mhm.
Like he can and Special K, yeah. He
Yeah,
came up.
Special
He
K.
came. Yeah, Special K is great. Like
Yeah.
yeah, she has a big heart, very artistic. Yeah, her and Jay are great. But with Look Within, like it's so easy to talk to him because we were right because we do seem to vibe, even though like most of our dialogue has been in the chat. But like, even
Mhm.
in the chat, I can feel like it's almost like I knew him before, talking,
Yeah.
yeah, type of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Shadow Buddha's like that too. Like it was pretty much my best friend. We talk almost every day, and he has an interesting his thing's interesting. He's an Aries rising. No, he's an Aries sun with the Aquarius rising with the Sag moon.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, and I
That's
think
some masculine energy.
yeah, yeah, he's definitely he's a mogger, as we say, male alpha of the group, bodybuilder. Yeah,
I could see
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, yeah. He's another one of those Mercury and Aries people that I seem to surround myself with lately.
Oh, that's cool. That
Yeah.
that trines your Mercury. It gets along
Hmm.
well. We speak the same fiery language.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what do you think in terms of Scorpio Aries? Uh, like in terms of like like my wife and some the
That's like
relationship between the
who was the relationship? It was Dennis Quaid, and who was he married to for a long time? Um,
not Goldie Hawn.
no, not Goldie Hawn.
That's Kurt
Melanie
Russell.
Griffith? No, not Melanie Griffith. Who
Dennis
was Dennis
Quaid.
Quaid married to? She was in Sleepless in Seattle. Meg
Meg
Ryan.
Ryan?
Yeah,
Oh,
wasn't
really?
Dennis Quaid and
I
Meg
think you're
Ryan?
right.
They were married for like three
I th-
decades. I was shocked
yeah,
me when they broke up
yeah.
recently, but I was kind of sad about that. But that was a
Mm,
Scorpio Aries relationship because he was an
mm.
Aries and she was Scorpio. I thought it worked well because they're both vibing to a similar Mars
Yeah, yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so you don't turn your war on each other, but I
yeah.
like it. I find it's an inconjunct is what they call it, where it's one before or one after your opposite. So
Hmm.
there's always like adjustments going on, like you have to adjust to one another. But I don't know. I think the moon sign is more important for a woman's chart in that. I don't know what her moon sign is again.
It's a Taurus.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Are
it's
you
very
serious?
pleasant.
It's perfect.
Yeah, very
That
pleasant.
is that falls right on your ascendant,
Oh yeah,
right?
so that would be good, right?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's
that's perfect for me.
ideal. Yeah,
Just don't
yeah,
fuck
that's
it up,
great.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
that's, that's what it seems to be. Because she's pretty
Yeah.
easygoing when she's not. At least,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm.
But no. But you think Venus in Taurus actually that plays? That's a good sign too,
That's a
right?
great one, yeah, because
Yeah.
Venus is or Taurus is ruled by Venus. So,
Yeah.
like Libra, it's a good one. I don't remember where
Hmm.
it's exalted, but it's definitely that's a great one for Venus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's not in a. It's in a what they call it, a debilitated Venus in Scorpio.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
debilitated there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you just
Debauchery on the Crowley deck. The card.
that's what
It's
it
like
means?
that's what he said it means.
Oh.
Debauchery. Venus and Scorpio.
That's what my
It's like
astrology teacher had, though. She has
mhm,
Venus and Scorpio, and I
yeah,
just love her to pieces. I mean, she's
yeah, yeah.
great with me, but then I have Venus
Yeah.
and Aries, so I don't know. I
Oh,
relate to
Venus
it.
and Aries. Let's talk about that. What's that sounds intense and fun and it's going to war with love.
I guess so.
Going to love
Oh,
for war.
yeah,
Going to war for
yeah,
love. There you go.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. I haven't really gotten into any fights over. romantic love like that, but definitely for love of my kids and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's opposite Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus, so yeah,
Okay, opposite, huh? When things are
yeah.
opposite, is that challenges?
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
Mm.
What's your wife's rising sign again?
Aries.
Aries. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Aries rising, Aries Mercury. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh wait, she has
Hmm.
Mercury and Venus together. Okay, it's a good
Oh,
combo.
oh, wait. Sure. She's Venus and Taurus.
Oh, Venus and Taurus. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's still
Yeah.
good.
I think we share the outer planets like the Sagittarius and no, excuse me, Saturn and Leo.
Oh,
And
that's a hard one.
yeah, I
That's
think and
hard.
we had like fertility issues and stuff for many years because I would think because when I think of Leo I think of children, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like Saturn sometimes is delayed gratification could be seen, right? Like learning lessons before you get
Well, yeah,
what
she
you
has.
deserve.
You said she has Aries rising, right?
Right.
So if Saturn is in Leo, it's in the fifth house of children. So
Wait,
there's.
no. My set. Oh yes, I'm sorry. You're right. Excuse me. Forget what I said.
y-
Yeah, yeah.
Does she have
Saturn. Yeah.
Saturn in Leo also?
Yes, she does. We both do.
Yeah, so then it's in the fifth house, which wherever Saturn is, it restricts. So there
Hmm.
would be fertility issues regardless
Yeah.
because there's a delay with Saturn,
Hmm.
but then once it happens, it can definitely bring a lot of you take it seriously. You're very serious
Oh yeah,
parents. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We love our Ben. Our Ben. Talk about him all the time.
Aw,
Yeah, that's what I said
yeah.
this channel's for. You know. That's
Oh,
actually to bring it full circle. That's actually funny. I always talk about flow lately. God damn, I need to get off that shit. Like,
he's
but
cool. I like him.
no. I I like him a lot too. I don't want to be glazing so much.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but but that's the reason. One of the reasons why I went on his show the other day. It ended up being fun going on there on Sunday for me. Is the fact that I heard him say to Sarah, uh, uh, "Are you one of these people who don't?" Who doesn't that says that they make their channel for their children because the way he was saying it sounded like for him it's like that's cringe. He doesn't understand why people do that because people to him it's like most people's children don't listen to him as it is now. What makes you think they're gonna look at it later? And him saying that kind of like triggered me to be honest, and and I actually and like you said about him throwing, he didn't even know this shit probably, like most likely,
Yeah,
right?
there was an arrow. There goes an
Yeah,
arrow.
exactly,
Hit the mark.
exactly.
Didn't know it.
Because I have a feeling he was talking about me, and he probably didn't even know it because like a couple days before, LTWI and Flo were having a good panel on LTW's place, and LTW and I had talked about that before. How his channel's basically for his grandchildren, and mine's for my child. And Flo was there just being quiet, and I heard like a couple days later him bring it up, but he didn't say names, so I'm like I kind of knew who he was talking about, you know, and and
So he's
so
throwing shade at you?
yeah, I guess yeah, but and I went up there to talk about it, and and uh and he was like, oh, and we talked about it. It was cool. It was cool. It's like, um, but I let him know. I'm like, I'm one of those people you probably were talking about. Yeah, yeah, but it made for an interesting discussion between dialogue between us and also other members of the panel in the chat because in that dialogue, I came to the realization, like thinking about, okay, why do I really want to do this? And I thought, like, my motivations, like, oh, I'm actually a very nostalgic person.
Mm,
Maybe that's the Scorpio, Cancer, the water, heavily watered in my chart, where I'm like
that's
very
a Cancer
nostalgic.
thing. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
Cancer thing.
yeah, and I grew up with, looking at what you call it, photo albums and all that stuff, and I was telling him like when my mom passed away at an early age, like one of the things that I cherish is she left me a video cassette, a tape recording of her talking to me.
Aw.
And
Uh-huh.
then like part of her like memory shit she wrote down and stuff in her little journal. And I said, that's probably why. And he's like, oh, I can understand that. And he was talking about his life, so actually
That's cool.
ended up, the triggering ended up actually, I think, Cancer and Jupiter expanding my consciousness and hopefully other people that were listening too, you know?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely. But I don't,
yeah,
I don't, I guess I kind of am of similar thought to him. Is like, I don't do it for my kids for antiquity's sake. Like I don't
mm,
even consider, they're in the other room. Two of them
yeah.
are. They're
Uh,
teenagers, but they're not like, I don't ever guess them to listen to this. I don't know.
but
I
that's
don't
the
know
thing.
if
He
I
said
would
the same.
want them.
He said the same thing. But I'm not necessarily. I'm not. At least for me, I'm not talking about now. My son's 6 years old. I don't want him to listen.
Oh, okay.
I don't. But I'm
Okay,
talking
okay,
about
yeah.
like later. Like if he ever
Ah,
feels
okay.
the need to, it'd be like I use an example. If you got to see your like great grandparents' YouTube channel, at
Oh
least for some of us
yeah.
who are interested in that type of family history, it'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
might be
yeah.
kind of sweet type of shit.
That is
So
cool. Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. I'm not now. Not now.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Dora,
I mean, yeah,
Dora, Dora.
yeah, but yeah. Anyway,
That
yeah,
makes
and
sense. I
yeah,
understand it now. Okay.
yeah, and part of that too. Oh God, now I'm maybe this the honesty to a fault. Part of that too may be a little self righteous too, because to say like, oh yeah, this is for I'm doing this for my children. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the best
Yeah.
dad ever. Yeah,
Yeah, own
uh,
it for you. I'm doing it for
yeah,
me. And then when you grow up, I want you to do things for you.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Do what makes you happy, and then you're gonna be successful at
But
that. I don't know. It
just
makes sense
yeah,
to me.
just don't leave
Yeah.
me out of
Ah,
it.
I don't know. There's things I definitely want to be left out of.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely don't want to be involved with everything. Yeah.
So if you're a spirit floating around, you don't want to see what your kids or grandkids are doing when they're adults. Well, wait, we hit something. Okay, here. I might hit the. Oh,
I
there we
think that
go.
was my end. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
don't. No, I definitely don't. I
Yeah.
don't want to see it. Yeah, no, I have no desire for omnipotence. Thank you.
Uh huh.
I have,
Yeah.
I have, yeah, I have teenagers. Really? No. There's things I
Mm,
don't want to know. I don't like denial. Like if there's something important that
mm-hmm.
the like my kids up against that they're not coming clean and I'm not really sure what it is, I'll put some boundaries down to protect them from themselves, but
Right.
I don't feel like I need to know everything. I do just yeah. I
Yeah.
already feel bad enough for them because everything is on film.
Yeah. Pretty much. Now you can just bust out the camera.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
They can't
The-
get away with the stuff we got away with.
no,
Yeah.
you can't.
I
You
remember that the
cannot.
first time that I realized Gen Z was a new generation is my youngest came running down the stairs and screaming that his sister hit him. And I mean,
Hmm.
he's like 4 and she's 6. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, he hit me first. He hit me first. Da-da-da. And then the next one comes down, filmed it all on the tablet. Hey, he did it first. He was aggravating her, and I've got it all recorded. And I'm like, oh my God, we never had this.
Recorded.
Yeah, he had it on his tablet. He was recording it, and I
Oh
was like,
God.
oh crap, we didn't have this issue. Just had to take
Tell
people
you,
at their word.
the age of secrets is over. Yeah. It's
Yeah, that's
here.
why you got
Yeah.
to be shameless. Yeah,
Hmm.
pretty much.
Shameless.
So yeah.
That is good. Do you think shaming is ever good? Like that was the question over
No,
there.
I'm
For-
not a big fan of it. It leads
Yeah.
to addictions and everything. Well, I don't know. Maybe at certain points, but I don't. It depends.
Yeah.
It needs to be used more sparingly, like punishment. That's the one
Mm.
thing I do remember with my degree is that punishment should rarely be doled out when you're dealing with kids. You instead, when it's bad behavior, you ignore it, and then it'll disappear. There's very rare occasions where you need to do punishing, but instead just do more praise and trying to get the kid to go where you want them to go. And
Yeah.
so that's where I just disagree with the whole kind of Western concept of worshiping at the altar of shame. I think it's
Yeah,
overused.
that's one of the technique that's because it's a small academy. It's a great school I work at, but
Hmm.
like one of the things is like if the administration they say if you know if the kids giving you problems, just send them to the office, and like that's like a last resort because it is shaming. That's what it is. And there's some
Yeah.
kids that can't handle it. They literally start breaking down. Like they don't want to be seen, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just not a
but
big fan of it.
yeah. But in terms of adults, maybe I'm looking at like men in general, specifically. Sometimes that drill sergeant, because it seems like a drill sergeant, that's all they're about, right? Like shaming a lot of times, shaming
Yeah.
their people. I guess in terms of maybe like physical fitness or something that might work with certain people.
Well, I
With
mean,
certain people,
when you're looking at
yeah.
the military, you have a hierarchy model, and you
Right?
want, when you're on the battlefield, you don't want someone questioning your orders. It's a life and
Yeah.
death situation, so they need to be trained to be able
Hmm.
to follow and trust their commanding officer.
Uh
But
huh.
civilian life, of which, we base it on Greek democracy, is completely polar opposite.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
I think,
But
as far as family goes, you raise your kids to be thinkers, and if they want to join the military and serve the country that way or whatever, then you're going to have to learn to follow orders really well. You can't
yeah.
debate.
Hey, but Miss Alexander, I grew up watching movies like Major Payne and Kindergarten Cop, where these police and ex-military whipped their elementary school students into shape
It
using
didn't work.
old-fashioned. It didn't work. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
didn't work. Huh? Only in the
Yeah.
movies. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to jump off here. I gotta get two of my teenagers to bed now.
No,
It's
absolutely. I
late here.
appreciate you
Yeah, it
hanging
was good
you
catching
and
up with you.
yeah,
We'll
dropping
try
the
to, of
science.
course. Yeah, anytime.
Let's do it again. Absolutely. I had so much
Okay.
fun. Learned a lot.
Me too. Thanks.
Okay. You
Appreciate
will
you.
appreciate you, and
Uh-huh.
you have a great night. And
You
thank you.
too.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Of
Wow.
course.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Let's talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Yeah. Wow. What? That was a legend. Legend. Wow. Miss Alexander was dropping knowledge. Yeah. Esoteric, pragmatic, and high powered, right? And Special K, I see you in the back. It says you're not connected. You're not connected. What's going on? Try it again. Yeah. Comments. Lots of unexpected surprises in your love life. Also dead. Ooh, who's talking about? Let's see. I was missing the chat. I have my eye on it. Wow, you guys are spitting knowledge in the chat right there. Try it again, Special K. Okay. Try it again. Let's see. Yeah, so we ended up talking about Pluto and Aquarius, going over that, using that as a segue into talking about everything. We can talk about what's really going on individually and also collectively here. And so let me see. There she is. Yeah, it still says special case says you'll need to connect your microphone. You have to hit the settings and add it so you can add it to the stream. You got to hit your microphone. The option right there. That was awesome, huh? Hamza Alexander is a legend. A legend here. What's up, Special K? Speaking of another legend. How's it going? What's up? What's up? Special K in the house. Yeah. Yeah, Special K. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Try it again. Try it again. I'm gonna kick you, then you can come back. You're not connected. You're not connected. Comment from Look Within. I wish I had more in-depth knowledge of astrology, but I need to focus on mastering one thing. As I'm 5, I'm drawn to many different subjects. I never mastered any, but know a little about. What do they call you? A Renaissance man, right? A Renaissance man. There she is. Special K. I think we can hear you now,
Hey,
right? What's going
can you
on?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello,
I can hear you.
hello,
Yeah,
hello,
yeah, I
hello.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey,
All right.
Gabe.
And then she dropped down. Then she's back again. There she is. Yeah. What's going on? How are you and Jay doing
I'm good. How
tonight?
are you?
Doing great.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh man, just a lovely surprise.
I know I
Uh,
haven't seen you in forever. Talked to you, whichever. You know what I mean. I
yeah,
uh, I was trying to get on my iMac computer, and Jay's got his device connected to the TV. I got mine, and the Bluetooth isn't matched up with my iPad. So,
yeah.
is there an
It's
echo?
no, you're fine. You're good.
What's
It went
going
loud and
on,
clear.
brother?
No, we just had as you can see, like a great build
That was
with
epic.
with Miss Alexander. That was dope. Yeah, that was dope.
There's
Very
so much I
knowledgeable.
need to learn. Like I learned so much about the whole rising moon and sun
Hmm.
thing. It's very fascinating to know like what used to read like in the newspaper from like the horoscope reading days, you know, in the newspaper or
Hmm.
magazine in comparison to like how on point she was with everything. It was really cool.
Yeah, she was able to bring up like stuff that actually was happening in my life currently and it has happened just by her knowledge of the chart. That was on point, man. That was a lot of fun and
She
stuff like
called
that
a
is
lot.
great.
She called some stuff that was definitely from what I know on point with you, and
Yeah, yeah,
just
because you
from
know.
what your
Yeah,
mom
you know.
named you. I know all about. Like I looked up about Saint Gabriel because I said my niece started dating a Gabriel like right after I
Hmm.
met you, and she moved in with them, and I was like, oh my gosh, do you know about Saint Gabriel? And he's all about astrology and grounding, and is trying to like explain it to my mom and dad who are like diabetics and you know, they don't they my mom still goes to church by herself, you know, Catholic church. Like you can't tell her really much. But I mean, you
Yeah.
know, she's open to it. She was just kind of looking at him like, really? Grounding? I never heard of that. What if it's
You keep it
snowing?
popping off. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Gabriel resonates with trying to figure out what's really going on using different modalities and whatnot. I think it means messenger. Yeah, I know it means
Yes.
that messenger, right? So we're trying to
Yes.
figure out what's going on. Yeah. Look within.
And
I was
just
talking about on code. I was. Yeah. You got it. Yeah.
look
Yeah.
within. He's such a star. The only time I ever seen him live was on OTW's one. And he was outside like from what I got he was like just trying to show him like hey you know there's an outside world like there's you know because he was like really struggling it seemed to me at the time like it was before like the new year and I feel like a lot of I don't know I feel like he's changed some of his ways which I'm it's really like
Who OTW?
yeah
Oh yeah, for sure. Like he's inspired me. I tell him. Like, cause we talked about it like a couple months ago, like before the new year. Cause he's a friend to the channel now, friend of mine now, and he's like he's been making an effort to be, about more about on that positive tip, and
bro
it
I think
made me
you
remind
inspired him to do that.
that award, huh? That definitely won
Oh
the
my
award. Changed it.
gosh.
He got
I
sparkling.
seen I seen that, like I seen his thing, like because I took like a long break from even like going
Right.
online. And when I came on, I went on to his channel and I seen his like dedication to you, and I'm like, what's
Yeah.
going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like then I seen like the effort he put in, like to thank you for the award he got, and then I went back and like me and Jay kind of like skimmed through, and I was like, oh my gosh, this was so awesome! Like you put so much work into that, bro. Like oh my gosh, it was really
Yeah.
something. It was really something to see. Very beautiful. And
Yeah.
go ahead, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I appreciate that for you saying that. And it did bring a lot of people together, definitely. Yeah, people go, yeah, it's just YouTube, but like it or not, this is our community, right?
It was amazing.
Yeah,
Like
it's our
you
community.
involved everybody. It was so epic, dude. Like it was
Yeah.
really cool how you did that. Like a lot of work I'm sure went into that. So I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, truly, that was that.
Yeah. Hey, K, Special K, you keep your call keeps on dropping down to the basement and then coming back on.
Really? What's
I don't know.
happening?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh
It's like
my
if
gosh.
somebody was watching, they probably think I was mod guarding you because you keep on like
Oh my god,
keep
no,
dropping to
really?
the basement. I'm
It
not mod
says
guarding her. Yeah.
I'm in the show, but
Now
I
you're
don't have a symbol on screen. Like I'm
no.
underneath the B and the R.
It
Is
looks
that
like
weird?
you. It looks like you're in a dark room or something.
Like
Just
I'm
a
invisible.
black.
I don't even have a
It's
circle
like a
right now.
black thing. Well, on my screen you have a circle. Yeah.
Should I leave
Yeah.
back?
But we can hear you, and you haven't dropped down in a minute, so that's good.
And that's
Uh,
really weird
yeah,
that it's doing that. I have my
yeah.
camera off.
It's a
Here,
bad
wait, let me see.
connection. That's
Does
what.
that
Look,
work?
there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Yeah, you had your damn camera. There you go. You got
I got a face now
it.
because I
Yeah,
have it taped up, you know?
yeah. That's
Jay's
what it
always like,
was.
tape all the cameras.
There you go. He said, "There you go." Yeah, look what this cool. Like you missed it. The last. If you guys go back to the last broadcast,
Uh-huh.
uh, he was on here with me, and we had like a really good discussion about parenting.
Oh,
At the
wow.
end,
I got to check that out.
yeah, the first half was just like not like hilarious. Looking at these crazy Instagram videos from this one of our favorite Instagram influencers, Supper Ray, which was funny as hell. And then Look Within came on. He made a rare appearance, legendary appearance, and we just we chopped it up, and it was
That's what's
fire.
up.
It was fire. It was
That's
fire. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, Jay still asks about that one girl who you introduced me to, who's the dog like shat on the groceries and she's driving
Oh
around that
yeah,
pink.
yeah. I might have to review it. Thanks, Jay. I might have to bring that up. That might be. I'll be like for Jay. Jay has to come on then.
He
You
said,
gotta
"What's
come
up?
on.
What's up?"
What's up, bro? It's good to see you. Yeah,
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
Whenever he needs a good
That's
laugh, he goes
disgusting.
and checks out that channel. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, is this crack whore?
Hey,
What are we doing?
hey, post it in the general or something, Special K, when you have a chance in the
Oh
Discord.
my gosh! What's the
That's
name
funny.
of her again?
I don't know. I don't know. Jay knows.
Jay has me looking
Jay
up. He
donates to
doesn't
her
even
probably, right?
Joe donates. He doesn't even have an account. Ever since like
Okay.
when I met him, he like got off of Facebook. He's like, it's evil. He hasn't used a
Oh
computer,
yeah,
nothing since then.
yeah. Look, Special K, I gotta go pick up Ben right now.
Oh well,
You
hey,
came
I
up too
just wanted to
late.
pop up and say hi, and that I miss
Don't.
you and I love you,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that
I love you guys too. I love
you're
you too.
doing great. And tell the
Yeah,
fam I said hello. Give Benjamin a hug for me,
I will.
and yeah, it was good talking to you. We'll catch up
Yeah.
soon, okay?
Yeah, yeah. Dude. I'm gonna be calling you and Jay on the DM.
Yeah,
We can because we can talk in the Discord sometime, or even on if you don't want to go in the disc in the general. I can DM you guys, and we can do voice chat.
yes,
'Cause I want to catch
definitely.
up.
I
Yeah.
definitely will. And yeah, take care. And I just wanted to say hello to you. I miss you and I love you. And we'll definitely catch up soon. I
Uh,
have to re-download Discord in
okay.
my big computer. So yeah, I won't keep you.
Do
But I
that,
just wanted to say
please.
hello. I will. I will. I will.
Okay,
I
I
will. I
appreciate
promise.
that, Chris. Okay, I love you, my sister.
Okay. All
Don't ever
right,
forget that.
Gabriel.
All
Take
right,
care.
Jay.
I
Love you,
won't.
bro.
He said,
Okay.
"Love you, bro.
See, bro.
No bammer, love you."
No Bammer weed for sure. Just that green crack.
Green crack. All right, bro. We'll talk to you
All right, I'll
soon.
see you, sis.
Okay,
Peace.
one love. Bye.
One love. Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's a great way to. Yeah, that's a great way to. I'm smiling now. I was already having a great time with Hashima Alexander, man, the master astrologer, and just I'll call her a life coach, bro. She helped me out big time. So that was special, the great Special K and the great J over there in Chirac, in the wilderness of North America, with their lovely call. So this has been Techno Alchemy, Pluto's invocation in the age of Aquarius, featuring Miss Alexander and NPC the game. Look within, the hardest working man in the metaverse, the twin shadow Buddha, Cosmic Charlie, One Love, Godheart Guardian, the most conscious chatter in the panelverse, NPC Lovely Leopard Print, love you sis, and that's about it, man. And all the ninja washers. It's been real. It's been real. It's been an epic. We're gonna go up on top with the nine with the 9 viewers. We're gonna be on later. We're gonna have on Dimitri, aka the wanking wizard of the Netherlands, coming on in day after tomorrow. So look out for that. And in the coming days, we'll see you next time here on NPC the Game Live. Peace. Age of Aquarius, baby, and Pluto. What's up, Locksmith Jeremy? What's going on, Locksmith? Much love, brother. We'll see you next time here on the Book of Gabriel. Peace.